and VHS tapes.
Okay,
It's
I
all on
think
VHS.
we're good to go. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that one was
Hold up.
100% on me. I don't know how I did that, but I apparently did that.
Check your hotkeys.
I like how it's part 2 now. But I guess let's dive in. Let's just dive in. Because I realize we won't even get through it if we don't.
Let me in, dog. I'm just double.
We're good on YouTube.
Can you see that it's live?
Yep. We
Okay,
are set.
okay. That's whoops.
I always keep both open.
My bad, y'all. That's on me. I don't know what I did, but it's on me.
You know what? I think YouTube was like, I miss Firefly too. BRB gonna go watch it.
On the YouTube stream, you go back afterwards, there's just like a little break in between, and it's just like a scroll through of like a bunch of screenshots of Firefly.
The last 30 seconds of the part 1 is just the Firefly closing.
Whoopsie-doodles.
Oh well. Let's see what we got here. All right, so they gave us some background.
I will say that one thing you guys mentioned. Oh, I just lost my note sheet. Where did you just go? I'm glad my camera's not on. I'm literally like crawling under my bed trying to figure out where this sheet just flew off to. Come here, you. Okay. One thing that you had mentioned was like keeping the morale high, and this particular adventure, they're talking about like how different creatures react. Like in the background, the person who is, or the giant that's infected is like, I don't want to be here with my people if I'm gonna wig out. I gotta go. So he goes, and he works with these werewolves and what have you. And then with the hooks, they want you to know that werewolves are smart. They're not just wolves. Not to say that dogs are dumb. Some dogs, for sure, very dumb. But dogs are pretty intelligent as far as animals go. So, like, they say, like, oh, your werewolves fight intelligently. And I think that's a big part of DMing that most people seem to ignore, where they're just like, yeah, these creatures hit you until they die or you die. And there's nothing in between one team dying and the other team dying. But morale is important, whether
like
you roll for it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially like when you get into stuff like orcs, like an orcish warband. Oh. If the leader goes down, they go crazy. They go crazy because their structure is gone. They're like, oh wait,
who do we follow?
Yeah, they go insane. So going off that point, I mean, the fact that they're keeping the pact mentality of werewolves is really important, because I feel like anytime I've encountered werewolves in other games, it's always been that one lone werewolf, and that doesn't always make a ton of sense to me. Yeah, it's like he should have a family somewhere. Like there's a pact he's looking for, he's a part of, or he or she, that character is a part of. You know what I mean? There shouldn't just be this werewolf. Like where's the werewolf? Where are the other wolves either in his pack or that he's turned into his pack? Because I think that would be a fun motivation for a werewolf that's a lone wolf to make a pack. It's like, oh, I don't have a pack, I need to get a new one.
Yep. And also, like, pack tactics is not, I feel like most people are just like, pack tactics, okay, that means they all flank, like, all the time. They just move so that they're flanking. And it's like, have you ever watched a nature documentary? Like, there is so much more to how a group of animals fight and hunt as a team. Like, they're not as dumb as us.
No, there's tactics. There's legitimate strategies built in the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, humans are animals, so
it's true.
Hate to break it to you, but we're also mammalian, which means we probably also formulate our own tactics. But seeing their way of flanking things. They're going to send out scouts. You're going to get watched well before something attacks you, especially in a wolf pack.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
They're gonna go for the weakest, the smallest, like the one
Mhm.
that lags behind the slowest.
Yep. Which is fun, which is kind of a fun thing, I think, now, even looking at this, as a DM, for my players to forget, but learn quickly on the fly. When the over-armored dwarf who's always walking, 20 feet behind, at 20-foot movement speed because he's overweight, and with the cart and everything like that, because he's the defender, all of a sudden gets attacked by,
Yep.
or like the mage, the shy little gnome mage who's in the back, magically gets attacked by these wolves very quickly. It'll be like very quick attacks, and they'll be like, "What's going on? Is it trying to take out the spellcaster?" No, it just assumed that's probably the weakest member of your party, or the biggest threat that it needs to isolate.
There's a lot of that
like
that I feel like I can't say most DMs. Obviously, I don't have empirical data for this, but there's a lot that I think the average DM misses. Like they just don't think about when they're running the combat. And it's not to say that like they're intentionally avoiding it. There's a lot you got to do when you're DMing. I understand not thinking about like the specific motivations, but if you think of each of the creatures that you're running as its own entity, like it has its own grade of people in combat of like who's a threat to it specifically. So like maybe some parts of this group are meant to take on like the small gnome in the back. They want that weak guy. Maybe one guy wants to bother the strongest guy there, that kind of thing. It's not just like, oh, we're a formless blob and we fall upon our enemy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have different goals. They have different strengths. They're working with those strengths. You go
They're a
distract
party.
the big strong one. They're their own party. Exactly. That's the best way to put it.
I think the best way to always, and this is a good advice for, I think, for anyone who's becoming a DM or trying DMing first time and isn't really sure what it's like to DM, the DM is a player at the table. Except you don't have one character. You have as many as you want to serve your goal and purpose. So don't play a goblin as its fodder because it's a cheap CR monster and everybody fights a party of goblins. Blah, 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 blah. No. Give me intelligent. You can give that goblin intelligent war tactics. And if you want one of those goblins to run away when two of his friends get taken out near him and inform the rest of his war chief or anything that there's these enemies around, do it. There is nothing that says you can't. In fact, I'd encourage it because that means you're thinking like the goblin, as I would encourage any player to think like their character. Cool way to think about it,
I think. I went ahead to the adventure hooks, and the first one is your very typical, we need our party, kind of like before where we were like, oh, if an adventuring party hears a mother screaming my baby, like they're gonna come running. Like if an adventuring party sees a destroyed village, they're gonna be like, welp, time to see
We
what
must
happened.
investigate. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then the
Alone
second one, and it's what they had mentioned in the background, is that the rest of the giants are good folk. So they're like, hey, we're putting a bounty on our giant kin. Something is very wrong with them. And that's a very interesting take for most tables.
I like that they note that they've been gathering wolven forces to terrorize local towns. So you're dealing with multiple communities probably coming together to put out this call too at some point. That's actually really cool.
The last adventure hook is the local militia is organizing, and they'll pay you for things. And I get that this is supposed to be like you're halfway through your game if you're going from 1 to 20. But a single local militia is not
Does
going to
not
be
have
able
that
to
money.
hand you 10,000 gold.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. I was like, no.
You've just got 100 platinum. No more. Wait, hold on. What's it, like 1,000 platinum?
Yeah.
Yep.
You just got 1,000. A local militia having 1,000 platinum just back pocket.
Just to throw around, because they're going to hand you 1,000 gold for each. Also, when you're a werewolf, canonically, when you die, you change back to your human form. So a werewolf belt is just someone's
A
skin.
human skin.
Yeah,
Yeah, I want to know.
just someone's skin.
But imagine telling your players that and having that one player who's like, I gotta skin it while it's still standing. Like, what?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold on now. We're in a whole other section of the game I was prepared for.
That's what I was thinking.
It's like, what do you want to do? I want to slightly graze it just enough to start peeling off the skin with my axe. Good luck. Roll me everything.
Roll me. I need a psychopath check first of all.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone in the party, roll insight to see if you think he's insane. Perception also works. If your passive perception's over 15, you think he's batshit crazy. All right, let's just get this out the way.
So it's a t-shirt that says like, roll me an intelligence check to see if your character's as dumb as you are.
Yeah.
That is. Which, Okami, I've also almost bought you so many times. Oh.
Okay, so I saw two of my players earlier in the week, and one of them, the Laundry King, is the barbarian in our group, and he's a Path of the Ancestors barbarian. And he was like, hey, so if I wanted to retire my character in some way, how would I go about it? And we had a chat, and I was like, well, I mean, you could go out to Blaze of Glory. We could have a scripted thing where your character retires, what have you. But everything that they've incited up until this point is still going to happen, whether they're alive or dead or doing whatever. Like, stuff's still going to happen in the world because you started some stuff. And I was like, but why would you want to change your character now? And he was like, well, I want to be more integral to the party in both combat and non-combat, because I feel like I can't contribute the way the other players can. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, in combat I feel like I don't serve any like specific role, and pretty much everyone in my game is like you would consider them a flex player. Like, they all have more than one role within combat and generally speaking when they're talking to people and what have you. And basically he was like, I want to be able to do both utility and damage. And I was like, are you not already? You're the tank. You deal probably the most base damage of just hitting people as well. Well, you're probably right behind our ranger. He does the most base damage of just hitting people. And also you have probably the best damage deterrent in the game. Like, you can rage, and because you're Path of the Ancestors, you can use a reaction once per turn to reduce the damage of anything on one of your teammates by 12. And he was like,
You're basically already support.
Yeah, I was like, and he goes, oh, wait, I'm already doing the things that I want to do. I just forget to do them. And I was like, yeah, you should look at your sheet some more. So it's more than just knowing your role. It's what did I used to say? I can't remember what it was. Something like having the knowledge and executing the use of the knowledge are two different things. That's
Yep.
Just make sure that, like, if you want to help your party, like, you use what you've got. You've got it for a reason. Don't hand out 1,000 platinum to people, though.
Please don't. But kind of, I started also starting to go ahead a little bit, and I noticed that they mentioned ambushed in the woods.
This is like what you were saying.
Top
They're
there.
following you. They're watching you. Yes, they are. They're wolves.
Uh-huh. I think of all of them, this is the most interesting to me. Just noting
All the
that,
way.
like, you're ambushed in the woods. You've got 6 werewolves, but they're noting that they're runts of the litter. That's so...
Hmm.
Then they say they only attack with their bite and claws as they don't have spears.
So not only are these the smallest guys, probably this is the first time your players are running into werewolves in general.
Mm.
So they're going to be like, oh man, those guys were so tough, especially if they don't have a lot of silvered or magical weapons. They're going to be like, these guys were so tough and they were just beating us with their bare hands. They're not werebears though, okay? Just let me, just getting that out of the way before someone says that. So, they're not like werebears, these are the small guys. Imagine what it's going to be like when you meet the giant one and the rest of his crew.
Well, also the better trained, just standard werewolves, like the guys who are just the next step up. I think a fun way to even do this, I was thinking about it even for myself, games that use the stagecoach to introduce things. What better way after getting summoned to a village to help than having your stagecoach get attacked? You know, it's very cliche in some aspects, but at the same time, I feel like it's perfect for something like this, because while you may not necessarily be directly, they're saying it takes place in Arden, which I
think
not...
Arden is Adventures Await's world.
Okay. I was gonna say I'm not familiar.
I'm like 80% sure it's their world, but yeah, it's in Arden, but it could be anywhere you want it to be.
Barovia.
It would also be fun of like, especially if you're a little worried that your party won't quite be able to handle this, like they're the muscle, like protecting a convoy, like your typical adventuring job, and if they didn't ask many questions about the cargo, they're actually trying to smuggle silvered weapons into the area that's being terrorized, which is why they get attacked. But unless they either ask intelligent questions or try to like bust open the stuff once they're getting attacked, they don't know that the weapons are in there. But it gives them the chance to find them and fight with them.
Oh yeah. I think it would also be fun too in a situation like this, because they're noting that they're runts and it's a nighttime attack.
Mm-hmm.
Let them not know what exactly they are until they've either taken one down or seen one in the light properly.
Yeah.
So if they don't cast light or spark torches of any kind, or even have because I would even say in dark vision, they move so quickly, you see forms, but they're shadowy, like they're so distorted in the night. Like, I would put them in true pitch black night outside.
Yeah, or misty.
Mm-hmm. Or like these guys don't have weapons if they don't attack in their hybrid forms first. They're just their regular human forms or just their regular wolf forms. If your players have never encountered anything that's lycanthropic before, like the idea that they're using their regular weapons on them and nothing's piercing, or it is, and like the holes, I often rule like, oh, you can cause damage, but like it just heals up immediately. There's nothing to stop it from regenerating. So like the idea that these guys kind of break in, they have no weapons, and in my head now they're all basically the Tavern Brawler card, which is a werewolf card for Magic the Gathering. So they're all like just huge ripped dudes. You're just wailing on them with your weapons, and they're just like, no! And they're like ripping the weapons out of your hand. You're like, what the hell? They're unstoppable!
They're on PCP.
Yeah. Literally, I don't know if I'm fighting evil or D&D crackheads. Either way, I'm not winning.
Yeah.
But
Is this a monster or just scary?
But I think that's a cool way. I think there's a lot of cool ways to introduce it. Obviously, as a DM, you know they're werewolves, but like you said before, if it's an introduction to where anything, and even by then your party at level 9 should have at least a +1 weapon, I'd imagine. I think that's
God,
the
I hope
standard
so.
according to WotC.
God, I hope
You never
so.
know.
Yeah.
You never know. But the idea, like you said, Dan Lacara, of like there being silvered weapons, watching like the stagecoach driver like get taken out trying to go for one of the boxes might prompt the player to be like, what's in the box? You know what I mean? Like I would hope it, or I would hope it would prompt a member of the party to be like, whatever's in that box, they didn't want him to get to, it was going to stop them. Having a player break it open, seeing like a really shiny sword, especially if it's like the mage and of the party, like one of the spellcasters of the party breaking open a box to find like a super shiny weapon.
Yep.
10 out of 10. I like this.
It's almost like in it makes sense, like they say that the good-natured giants couldn't heal the infection before it like took over and this guy got the curse. So it makes sense if like the stagecoach is coming in and they're the ones who ordered it like from out of town. Apparently everyone in this world has tons of cash lying around, so the giants were like, oh, I'm going to buy a whole bunch of silvered weapons from somebody out of town. I need you to like go get it and bring it to me. And I'm just thinking of in Elden Ring, in like the first area, you often see like coaches being carried by slave trolls. Essentially, they're like dragging it behind them, they're chained to them. But if you can kill everyone or you can distract the guards long enough, there's always a really good item in the back of it.
I think that's a fun way to do it. And because this is the start of the adventure, this is like the first thing they're dealing with after essentially getting their mission. It's got to be petrifying for them, right? It's got to be intriguing but petrifying.
And if you wanted to, you could make it so that they're attacking on a night close to the full moon. So these are like not necessarily full-blooded, but they've been werewolves for a while. So they attack close to a full moon night. They sort of like they beat up the people working at the convoy, but they bite some of them.
Oh.
So you kind of take those people back to town, and then the night of the full moon hits, and it is chaos.
Oh, that would be
but
good.
But also any player bitten. We'll have to make that constitution roll and figure out if they're infected.
Unless they choose to fail it.
Yeah. Well, on the bright side, were-deers don't change your alignment, so I was like, whatever. I just get stuck in this doorway.
Jesus.
It was pretty great. And I did not plan for this, but I slept a little like one shot in to kill some time in our campaign, and there happened to be a small magic ball that gives off moonlight.
Oh no.
So everybody else thought, because in our world the moons move very slowly, so everyone thought that they had like 2 months before they had to deal with whether or not Okami's character was a lycanthrope.
No. And then it was like instantaneous.
They're like trying to take out this swarm of rats, and all of a sudden Okami's character is like, guys, I'm kind of stuck in the door. Help.
I love playing the most awkward PC ever.
That is amazing.
Absolutely fantastic. The only thing that I wish I had done in retrospect was there should have been a chandelier in that room that your antlers got stuck in.
Oh, that would have been amazing. That would have been so amazing.
Or like draping tapestry that he just keeps getting wrapped up in when his antlers.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
Oh, that's amazing. But
See, you could
it
have
looks
fun
like they
even when
push
you get turned
you.
into a creature.
You should have fun when you get turned into a creature. What?
Mm-hmm.
It's the only fun to have. But it looks like they do note that next your characters are to head into the mountains. Characters following themselves on a mountain pass. So they're putting them in caves, but it says standing on beneath it on two legs is a massive bear, flanked on either side by two large white wolves. And they note that it is a werebear.
That's usually a good
Specifically
thing.
mention neutral evil because generally speaking, werebears make you good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also thinking winter wolves are the ones who shoot ice beams, aren't they? I'm gonna double
Yeah, I
check.
think they are. Or they have some kind of like blizzardy. They have some connection
Oh,
to
they
the
have
ice.
cold breath, which is like burning hands but for ice.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's
Haha,
actually really cool.
literally. Haha.
Oh, no pun intended, but appreciated.
But in the note for the encounter, they specifically note that they're tired from the previous night's hunt and are attempting to just scare people off. Again, I think that goes back into morale, where if your party starts beating on them enough, they're going to be like, you know what, we really weren't here for this. We were kind of here to stop you, but we don't want to die to stop you here necessarily.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the winter wolves, I think it would probably be important for your characters to make sure maybe one of the winter wolves doesn't try and run back into the cave and be like, they're here, alerting an entire cave full of lichens that you're at their front door, just waltzing in.
You could even,
Oh.
since they're saying like you could scare them off, I don't know if there's a better deterrent than the two winter wolves like step forward in formation instead of the werebear being in the front. And even if you guys are out of range, they both use their cold breath, just like and let that ice breath out. Like I don't know what a bigger deterrent would be.
Yeah, maybe the ground in front of you is a little muddy, and all of a sudden you see those like little spires when it like the way mud gets when it freezes.
Even to that point, you could maybe they actually have set that as a trap. Like there's some like difficult terrain because it's kind of like wet, snowy, kind of like muddy snow
Mm-hmm.
and like a slight grass. And then they blow this cold breath down, and your characters are fighting to get through it because they don't want to get frozen stuck.
Yeah.
Or they
I like that.
freeze just like the top layer, and without like a high passive perception, you won't notice as you get closer to them. And then it's a pitfall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like
I
all
like that.
these.
I'm so
Also, I would not.
No, you go.
I would not recommend it for this, but something that I feel is underutilized. Like, your party sees a monster, they assume they're going to fight it. There is nothing to say that you don't like have something watching them or trailing your party, or even that like has a brief encounter with them and then just gives up and just leaves. There
Yeah.
is no better way to make your party paranoid that that thing is going to come back for them later. But it doesn't have to. Keep them on their toes.
Like you have
Yeah, because
when some of them are getting beat on, you have one or two of them like make sure that they're maintaining eye contact with someone in the party as they just sort of like back up and fade into the bushes, a la Homer.
Yep.
ooh.
Yep.
To amplify that, then if we go with the muddy ground, like the frozen ground aspect, because they're not really trying to get rid of the party, they're just there to stand guard. Maybe they freeze you far enough away and just leave you out there.
Yeah.
That too?
Your
And
party is
all
like
you
panicking.
yeah, like they're desperately trying to break free, and you're consistently, as a DM, I would just keep rolling a dice for an encounter, and it would just be for that one character like I would just have that one player that maybe locked eyes, or like maybe a couple of the players like consistently. Someone roll me a perception check. Someone roll me a perception check. You know what? Roll me a perception check.
No better way to make
As
your whole
Even
party paranoid.
even better,
Love
leave
it.
them in initiative order.
Oh,
with the
oh.
battle music still playing.
One of my
Oh,
favorite
no.
things to do by far is after we're out of combat, I go, "Do you guys want to stay in initiative order?" There's nothing that puts the fear of an imaginary god in your players more than that.
It's so true. There's so many tropes and things like that. You know, the battle music, the staying in initiative, like those things that like put your players into that mindset. And it's great in a way. It gets them geared up to go into a thing, but it also becomes kind of trite. And like, there's nothing that will make them feel more in the world than thinking that something is going to jump out at them from behind a bush every few seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
1000%.
Now, I guess we make it to the. I was gonna say I don't know if the music stopped or not. It did not, and it just kicked in like maximum creep, which is perfect as you walk into their frozen cave.
That's the cave you stand at. Interesting, they give you an exact dimension. 30-foot high, 40-foot wide. You're dealing with a Weregiant, or you know.
It seems like a waiting room for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kinda.
Would they even fit in that?
I don't know.
Like, they can't, like, swing anything big in that.
Now without hitting other members of their pack.
Yeah. That is tight.
They do note though a couple of things in here though. So obviously the ceiling's 30 feet. You're noting that its ground is frozen dirt, pitch black. Anyone who tries to sneak makes their stealth check at disadvantage. And the rest of the creatures in the cave join initiative order. As soon as combat occurs, the rest of the creatures in the cave join initiative order.
Okay. Pretty much all the lycanthropes have dark vision. This cave
Yeah.
is well within the range of any dark vision. So, like, if you want to Monty Python it up, which I'm sure is how your campaign already is, because that's just how D&D works. You think it's going to be Lord of the Rings, but it ends up being Monty Python. You might as well. You're making it a disadvantage because they're looking right at you as you walked into the cave.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, hello there.
Yeah.
But also, what better way to introduce maybe like this Weregiant, because it's been building a pack, if you go with like the idea that it's got a roving pack, like its second in command, which could be like its mate, is just sitting there in the cave waiting, and it's just like, what do you think you're doing here? And you don't see anything. You just hear out of the darkness this voice. I'm thinking of like the first Neverending Story when he's like gone to the cave talking to the beast inside the cave, and he's just like I can't see you. He's like, well, come closer.
And you gotta figure it's echoing something
yeah.
fierce.
That horrible tinny way that things echo off ice.
Oh. And just like the flicker and glimmer, because you know your party, if a scared party might start making, especially if you stop making them make perception checks, like you've been doing it consistently, and then all of a sudden you just stop when they're in the cave. I feel like a scared player might be like, can I make a perception check to see if I see where it is?
Oh, yeah.
Like, can I sneak around?
You can always be like, remind me, do you have magical dark vision? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Always checking. How exactly, what would you say your range is again on your lawn? That's it? Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
We're
But
twisted.
they do note a couple. Oh yeah, they note a couple of things. Also, it seems like in this cave, the wolf's den, which is 3 large piles of hay against the northern edge, bloody bones scattered. And here they note that.
Oh,
It's
when you
dire
said it was a
straits.
waiting room, literally a waiting room. Hold on, I will flip
Yeah.
over. You are correct. I was like, you know what? We should show people what the... Oh.
Oh.
Interesting. I can't display the Photos app. Okay. Whatever, there's
Weird.
more than one way to do this.
That's an odd one.
What are you hiding from me, dog?
Right now, the screen looks like a black screen. But
Yeah. Is there a refresh button on here? No. No, none of these. I can't show picture viewer. Hold on, we're gonna figure this out. I can open it up in Microsoft Office. No. Oh, easy peasy. I bet you I can show paint. No, I can't show paint either. What?
Okay.
This is
You could use your mouth words.
Yeah, we'll just describe it. We'll just keep it. This here says that they note 3 large piles of hay against the northern edge and 3 dire wolves asleep on the piles of hay. If awakened, they use pack tactics, focusing on one target at a time. Interesting that they tell you exactly. I don't think I've seen a lot of adventures that say, hey, the way these things want to attack is this. Like they're deliberately saying, if you're running these guys in combat, figure out who you're attacking because they're all attacking it. Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, interesting.
Here we go. Boom. That's what I wanted to do. I made a duplicate just so I could do this. Oh, no, that's not right. Why did you move both of them? Oh, okay, we're gonna figure this out. But yes, keep going.
They note, but to have the dire wolves attacking one at a time, I think is cool. I don't think, though, from what it seems like, it looks like, is it just these 3 dire wolves in there?
Bloop. Okay, here we go. Nope. Gonna figure it out. There we go. Now I can move it to the center of the screen.
Oh, okay.
Yikes. That was way harder than they needed it to be.
Wait, so the 30 by 40 part is the part that you just like walk into, that kind of like mouth of the cave, right?
Yeah.
Or are they saying?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What are?
But
Are those supposed to be stairs? It looks like there's a weird.
I think there's bridges over holes, which you would figure if you were a giant, that little wooden bridge would not support your fat booty.
Well, the giant can probably just step across it.
Oh, that's also probably true.
It doesn't look that way.
But I can't imagine the giant building tiny bridges like that. I would imagine him trying to fill the space, because like the chamber that they're putting the 3 dire wolves in, what's to stop your players from just destroying the bridges when they come in and cutting off the dire wolves?
I thought maybe some of the werewolves would have built it just for convenience.
You probably don't like jumping over holes that often, so they were like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah, dogs are not a fan of that.
Unless you're
ever tried to get,
and you watch.
Yeah.
And you watch them try to get on top of everything.
Yeah.
But it does note here that in another room across from you, it looks like you see victims of the Lycan and his pack where they've tossed the bodies here when they're done stripping the meat from the bones. So I'm just imagining this side area off to the other side is where they're dumping all the. Oh no, it's meant to be in the center of it all. I see here.
Yeah, which is weird.
I'm guessing that's what this red goop pile is.
Yeah, which is weird because generally speaking, dogs are relatively clean. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and especially because this giant guy, he's a werewolf now, but like he was a regular member of society before. You would think he wouldn't like throw his garbage in the center of his house.
Yeah, dogs also don't eat in their dens.
No,
Mm.
they kill outside and return sometimes with little bits of food for certain members, but it's
Bibis.
not. There's no
Bibis.
discarded carcasses just lying there. Yeah, so just like
Yeah.
lie down carcass just hanging out. A little weird, I would say,
It could be they're
but
using it
I
as
guess
a
for the
deterrent.
sake of, yeah, we could say that because it was like you did say, to play the devil's advocate to your point, it was a regularly good person. So maybe in the madness, it's trying to scare off other good people.
Hmm.
It's like if this seems off, like maybe that's why people seemed off. It's like, oh, he started getting really dirty and gross.
Mm.
I still
Or you
think it
could
goes
play it
against.
off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Oh no, you.
Like you could play it off for the more like horror angle as like a trophy pile.
Mm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mm. That I could see. That I can see. I'm guessing though, in there would potentially be a lot of. I would probably show in that pile a lot of broken, slightly like heavily tarnished silver weapons. Like
Mhm.
maybe the last guys that came in
Ooh.
here bought silver, but it was like tainted silver or like tarnished silver. So it wasn't really of high enough grade to kill anything, but they got sold a bad deal.
Oh man.
Okay, hear me out.
Nothing's worse than going into a fight with bad weaponry.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
two
that's
things
why there's
then.
this pile.
Think like it's not even real silver, it's fake silver. They're getting sweaty in the battle and they realize that like they have like their hands are now green. They're like, "Oh no."
Mm-hmm.
Or alternatively,
Mm.
the giant lycanthrope, since apparently everyone in Arden has a full bank, he's hiring people to send like people to fight him that are ill-equipped so that he can
Mhm.
feed his new family.
Ooh.
It's a conspiracy.
Ooh.
So I got an interesting adventure. I'll put it to at the end so we can get to finish through this, but because I do want to see what they got next. But I do have an interesting idea, I think, that would link up, and it's potentially an adventure. It's an adventure purpose for the giant lycanthrope that they'll be dealing with. In a very cliche kind of way, but potentially fun for this, going off your idea. Let's see what we got here, though. With the Giant's Den. So here we go. We have Massive Cavern. This massive cavern is littered with the half-eaten corpses of horses, moose, and other unidentifiable creatures. Near the northern edge of the cave, a large pile of matted hay can be seen. This is where the Weregiant sleeps, but it's currently out on a hunt.
Wow.
So he could potentially come back while you're here, and if he chills like here, I can't. Oh, you can see my mouse though. It's fine. If he chills here, this is a choke point. Like, you ain't getting out of his house.
Well, DM Lacara said it earlier. Something's following you. What if the something following you this entire time you didn't realize was the Weregiant? Like, What if this thing has been aware of you trying to kill it since you got into town and has just been waiting for you to get into its lair so it can trap you? Like you said, it's a choke point. Once that thing's behind you in this doorway, as we've said before, that's a tiny entrance. This thing's taken up the whole way out.
Oh yeah, even if he waits at the entrance and like has some kind of whistle or other way to get everyone's attention, since they say sound travels really well, he could like stand at the entrance and just
or a howl.
Yeah, he can
but
howl.
Like a deep howl.
He can start the howl. That's how you scare your players the most. They walk inside, they get just to the pitch black part, and from outside they hear like this deep, huge guttural howl, and then a couple seconds pass and they start hearing more howls within the cave, all like reverberating off one another on the walls.
Like
from a
pinging
giant,
answers.
so it sounds like it's coming like from the earth up. It's like an earthquake howl.
And the dire wolves jump in and everything else. But the fact that they're working with a werebear, like, you could fill this cave with all sorts of weird were creatures. You could have were rats in there. It's like a commune, man.
Yeah.
A were commune.
They could all be cursed with different lycanthropies that have just come together.
The party gets befriended by a little bird, like earlier on, like, and they're in the woods, and it like, maybe it helps them out of danger, or leads them towards a food source or something at some point, and they're like, oh, that's our little good luck charm. And it turns out it's been a were creature the whole time, and it leads them there.
It like gets in there, but it was actually a druid prior, so it like wild shaped. And when it when it loses wild shape, it becomes like this eldritch abomination. I'm for it. They do note in here that you will encounter 3 werewolves picking through the remains of the Weregiant's last meal.
Ooh.
If disturbed, they fight together, trying to take down one target at a time. It's interesting that they're acting like hyenas.
Well, probably because he's the alpha, they have to. Doesn't usually share, but what's left behind is fine. Like, you can have his scraps. I was thinking it's cool that Adventures Await is specifically saying like this group fights this way, this group fights that way, just to make it seem like they're different.
They give you a ring of ice as a treasure. And they say buried in the hay are the giant's former possessions: a ring of cold resistance, 3 potions of greater healing, a cloak of protection, and 142 gold pieces. So everybody in Arden is just rich.
Yeah, 142 gold is a lot. I mean, obviously the people handing you 10,000 gold for killing this one creature have way more, but like just to kill random passersby and accumulate 142 gold, that's crazy.
Yeah, I that seems like a scale of money. Again, level 9, you would expect your party to have encountered, treasure troves worth more than that, but they encounter that in like ancient tombs and like caves and dungeons and maybe even like bad guys and bandit hideouts,
Yeah.
Not just like beating up Joe, the flower seller, and then looting him and finding out he had like 65,000 platinum just sitting in his pocket. It's like, what flowers are you selling, Joe?
Poppies.
Yeah. What's really in the flower, Joe? But it kind of kicks to the idea that I was going to mention a little later, but I'll just say it really quick. If you made the person who hired this person, the adventure party, the mayor of the town, but the Weregiant was the mayor's son. Which is why he's been funding bad weapons, and the stagecoach was trying to sneak in good silver.
Wait, so the mayor of the town is a giant?
I'm calling everybody a giant there.
Could be.
And I'm saying that the mayor's just like, hey, we don't know what happened, but this guy's terrorizing. We need to get rid of it. But secretly, he's all like, I need everyone to be aware that that's my son, and he's got his own officials working with him to feed his son without alerting the public. It's a reach, but it could be a son, a friend, a colleague, a former adventurer, but it's giving it some reason why the head of the towns would want to fund this creature. Like you were mentioning before, Okami, like someone's paying people not to have good weapons. Why not? I mean, if they've got 10,000 gold just sitting around, it's very possible to be a mayor, I'd hope. I'm not letting that go. I'm sorry.
That is
Not the
so
10,000.
much money.
But they also say that there are cages that can be seen here. 6 large cages which house half a dozen wolves that are currently sleeping.
Listen, it says they're asleep. You don't have to make them sleep. You could do whatever you want.
I think the howl's gonna wake them all up.
That too. Because the end is
Wow.
the beast returns. Oh, okay. That is one way to describe scale. He has one moose in each hand.
Large moose at that. Not just any old moose.
I don't know how many of you guys know like this. A moose is enormous. It is so big.
Yeah, Rocky and Bullwinkle did not do moose justice.
Oh my god, thank you for mentioning that cartoon. Does not get enough love.
You are very welcome. This is definitely not your standard moose that this guy's lugging in here. And it notes that if he sees slain enemies, which I'm not imagining anyone sneaking in here successfully. I'm imagining he's going to find slain enemies unless your party somehow threw all the bodies in pace, but he's going to smell death before anything too.
Yeah, he's got keen senses for sure. He will smell something is weird.
Yeah, he's going to smell blood in the air, you know? Blood on your blood, the tainted smell of silver and blood in the air because you've been slaying his kin.
Then they say his bloodthirsty like in nature doesn't allow him to flee, so he fights to the death. But they haven't said that about any other creature. So maybe the whole rest of the pack can leave, will run away, but he's not gonna. Also, the fact that he just drops the moose if he knows you're there, I'm gonna make him use them as projectiles. He's gonna find you and he's gonna hit you with a moose.
He might rip an antler out of moose and use it as an improvised weapon in my campaign. I don't know. You ever getting attacked by a guy with 2 moose heads?
He's got, okay, so he's holding the moose, and the way he's swinging the moose, the antlers, if they hit you, you have to roll or you'll basically be grappled by them. Like he stabs you with the antlers and just starts carrying you around.
What is he doing, the Frieza?
Yep.
Oh god, that is a horrifying idea that you're just impaled by a horn being taken for a ride on a dead moose. Again, we talked about scaring our party. What a way to scare your party to have one of your members flung around in the air like with a dead moose.
Yeah. I love it.
I can't stop chuckling at the idea of it. I'm sorry. This vivid image just popped into my head, and it is hilarious of this just dual wielding moose giant just flailing dead mooses. And the aftermath and it wraps up with after he dies, the enclave of giants can once again live out their days in peace. The villages will be rebuilt, militia patrol, and pay handsomely apparently for proof of the creature's demise. And you were right, Okami. The wolves, now without an alpha to lead them, will scatter into the wilds and return to their former predatory ways.
Just so they're nice wolves, I guess.
I guess wolves with the survival sense like they should have.
Yeah.
But at the end, they give us the stat block for the Weregiant.
Yay. Okay, so this is supposed to be for adventurer party level. It's a level 9 adventure, but he's CR 13. So technically speaking, he would be very deadly for this group because your CR is what level a group of 4 to 5 adventurers should be. So if he's got him and all his crew, even though the CR calculator would tell you it's deadly, you know, if your party knows what they're doing together, they'll probably find a way around him.
Yeah. But I think it brings up the idea that combat should be deadly.
I'm gonna make words one day. Wow. It is a battle of not attrition, but a battle of glass cannoning. Who will shatter first?
Oh, yeah. But it looks like they're giving you both a humanoid form and the wolf or hybrid form stats. So I'm guessing they're thinking that they're imagining that this thing might show up in its just natural giant form. I kind of want it to show up half wolf up top personally when it starts.
Yeah, I feel like
forget about
he's
the
gonna
humanoid form
be
altogether.
a hybrid if he's just come back from the hunt. Especially because he's like been taken over by his more bestial nature. Though I will say, since he's faster in his wolf form, if for some reason or somehow you can get away from him in the cave, oh, he's for sure transforming to hunt you down.
Yes. Oh. Okay. They're not going to mention it here, and you don't often see it in D&D, but similar to how trolls regenerate until struck on fire, what if you had to lob its head off to truly kill it?
They don't give... For some reason, lycanthropes don't have... They're just immune, but they don't have regeneration, even though I always roll. They have some kind of regeneration. Like I said before, like maybe you can cut them, but the wound just heals immediately.
I would imagine that a scary thing for your players would be after they think they've killed this thing, as they're leaving, like the last bit of, like, if they didn't lop off the head, like the last bit of bloodlust in its heart just has like this body like pulling itself forward at fastest speed it can, just lunging with bites at your party.
Yep.
It's like completely trying to take out your party. It's like, I don't care anymore. And it's just coming at you. That would be fun. They note, though, that there is silvered. This thing would be great in 2024 D&D and 2024 because it's got 26 strength. So, you know, it's fast on its way to reaching 2024 D&D levels of standard. It notes, though, it has a passive perception of 23. That...
Damn it! It's better than mine!
We finally found something.
That is insane. Wait,
You're not getting through this guy's cave.
Yeah,
there's no way.
His is 22.
He knows. He knows.
I guess you better not run into any Weregiants because they'll know before you do.
Seriously, taking notes.
DM Lacara, like, oh, your Weredeer's gonna have a fun day today. Just ready to take them out. I'm for it. But they do note that they can shape change, like we said. It's the wolf giant hybrid or wolf form, which I think we all agree we want just hybrid or wolf at this point. It does have the hear and smell advantages, and its standard multi-attacks seem to be a bite and one claw attack, or great club. I feel like the great club is going to be the moose heads, so...
Yeah. I also
keep that
feel
same
like
stat
that
block.
seems like I feel like a creature of this CR should be doing 2 claws and 1 bite.
I agree. That's gonna be my
this
other point. Yeah.
is. I think that's a low ball.
Yeah.
Because by this point, I think your fighter's at his 3rd attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be for 10th level-ish characters, right?
Yeah.
Like 9 going up, yeah. At 5th level, you get your 2nd attack for most martial classes. And this thing's a CR 13. A CR 13, yeah. So this thing only having 2 attacks?
Yeah, why doesn't this
that
have,
doesn't
like, what do you call them? The crazy...
Oh, layer actions and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Definitely give
yeah.
this guy lair actions. If you meet him in the lair, if
actions
for
and
some
or
reason you're hunting
legendary.
him elsewhere. Yeah, I would
Mhm.
say at least 1 legendary resistance.
Yeah.
I appreciate them trying
Legendary
to
actions too.
scale
You're
it.
right.
I appreciate them trying to scale it, but I think they've underscaled the Weregiant stat block too much here.
Yeah.
I think this thing is. I think that honestly, the things you deal with prior to it are probably scarier than the actual Weregiant. Because you'll be taking more attacks than this from the Winter Wolves, the Werebears, and the standard Dire Wolves alone.
Yeah.
Not to mention the werewolves.
Hear me out. If the Winter Wolves are back in here, they are 1 size smaller than him. So, actually, yeah, they're 1 size smaller. One of them can like ride him, not the other way around. And then he's got like basically a handheld ice cannon.
You did you Voltron together werewolf to make a giant werewolf with ice cannon shoulder?
I was thinking of the feat that we looked at that Racky's from. We still haven't named him, but on my stream deck he's Racky. The feat when you have tiny creatures and you can like basically put them on your wrist and then they are your little like Black Widow-esque venom blasters.
It's like he just like puts one like dire wolf under one arm and grabs its tail and just pulls.
You have to right before he pulls. He could be talking in a whole different accent or anything, whatever, but the moment he's about to pull, he goes, "Say hello to my little friend!" and he pulls the dog's tail.
The wolf to have the comedic eyes. I want it to have the comedic. Oh god, this hurts. This blasts all its cold air out.
Like its eyes bulge out in different directions right before it belches.
And just blast them with cold breath. Oh, they will lose their mind. As a player, I would lose my mind.
And you figure, in this case, since whatever Cold Breath has the recharge 5 to 6, so you roll a die, and if you roll a d6, if you get a 5 or 6, you can do it again. You figure the Alpha man, he's just grabbing him. This is like his lair action, so they don't need to recharge. He's gonna pull that tail until the Cold Breath comes out.
This looks like it's gonna be fun adventure, because I think we hit the end of it. Yeah, that's it. That's all they gave us. Just
just acknowledgments after that.
Shout out to Shutterstock. Yeah.
Shout out to Adventures
cool
Await.
idea. Yeah.
I like it.
I think we can agree that the Weregiant could use some buffs.
Yeah, Weregiant's not the strongest here.
But otherwise, I really like the idea of what they've crafted. And it's enough. It's enough of an adventure. It's enough to give you a full adventure if you don't want to think about anything.
Mm-hmm.
But as we were doing, it's also an open-ended enough to give you so much to do in between. Like, they only note, what is it, 5 real scenarios, which is the cave, the mountains, the first encounter, and when the creature shows up. I guess you consider the aftermath the last one, but you can fill in so much in between that. If this guy is going deep into the mountain, if you're traveling deep into the mountains in winter, in the cold, it's going to slow your party down. Maybe it's a 2-day journey. You could be getting hit with random attacks throughout those 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Rations going low. Maybe even what would have been a same-day travel if you do it from like they're attacked by like stagecoach or whatever guide was leading them to the area, and that guide gets taken out. They're stranded now.
Yeah.
Add that in there.
What's the name of the Liam Neeson movie where he fights the wolf pack? Is it The Gray?
Oh,
I think it's The
I think
Gray.
it's the gray.
You could even have it like that, like wherever you go. Okay, not like that, because that movie is incredibly stupid. Because he's like, I've traveled the world. I've traveled so far away, and no matter what, I just get closer and closer to their den. And I'm like, well, then you should have gone you should have gone the opposite way at some point. Like, there's no way you could be walking closer and closer and be like, I feel like I'm getting further away. They keep attacking me more frequently. No, why are you dumb? But you could have it like they're just always around watching you. Like they make sure to mention like, oh, make sure you have a watch order. I feel like it's such a trope, so heavy within the genre and the game that like you have to have a watch order. Your players should, if you're level 9, you should have a watch order already. Like your players should be used to that. But to have someone like come in and attack you, maybe like before we had said they just retreat after a while. Maybe they make sure that whoever's watching isn't a magic user, doesn't have a silvered weapon. They come in and they attack them for a little bit, and then they just kind of like as they fade back into the darkness, and it just ruins everybody's sleep schedule.
Oh yeah, they never allow the party to get a full 8 hours rest.
Mm-hmm.
Interruption of if you're, I think, what is it? If you're interrupted for more than 15 minutes during a long rest, it no longer counts.
Something
Like,
like
yeah,
that.
I think there's a time frame within a long rest that if you go back to sleep within, you still get the benefits of a long rest.
I think it's 30 minutes. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is 30 minutes. It doesn't give you the benefits of a long rest. I think it's 30 minutes.
I thought it was shorter, like 10, 15, but it could be 30. It could be. Either way, though, I think. What's that?
They're always like, can we go back to sleep now? Can we go back to sleep now? Whenever I wake them up in the middle of the night.
I'd be like, no, there is no sleep. But like I said, I like it. I like the idea of it. I think it's a dope idea of an adventure. And honestly, if I wanted to keep everything as it is, I could scale this down below level 9 if I really wanted to. I feel like, obviously they're based on what they've built into the stat block, and the stat block so the creatures you're facing, like werebears and winter wolves, it makes more sense. But if you want to play around with the ecology outside this town and like how they deal with things, you could slap this at any level, I feel like.
I would even say
this could be
that the one thing that I would change though is if you don't want to, if you wanted to make it so that there's a whole bunch of lycanthropes and what have you together, that's cool. But adding the werebear specifically, if you're following regular rules, being that a werebear generally speaking makes you good, there is a creature that would fit in so well with the winter wolves. It is an I don't know what he's called, but I need to. Oh, does he appear in Baldur's Gate 3? Is that what? No, never mind. That was the first thing that came up. But there's an undead that is the spirit of someone who died like climbing a very tall mountain, and it's like in a parka. You can't tell that it's dead until you get really close to it, and when it removes its hood, it has like a petrifying gaze, and like its eyes are so bright, but instead of turning you to stone, it freezes you. I cannot think of the creature's name. What is it? I think it's in Rhyme
says
of the Frostmaiden.
undead?
Yeah. Oh, wait, I know how to find it because I have it in... It's in my minis case. I just have to figure out what it is. You guys can... I will figure this out. Don't wait for me to find it.
But I think that is a cool idea. I think, though, because you're in the woods and it's cold, stuff like that, you can really play around with, like, a lot of different ideas. I even thought of another. The whole town could be cursed where the guy is from, and they've done a great job to control it, and he just never followed the rules. And for whatever reason, him breaking the rules is what caused his lycanthropy to go wildly out of control and caused them the need to put him down. If you don't know that, you could start dealing with. I think there's like zombie giants, like
Yep,
specifically frost
definitely
giants. There's so much you could play around with, I feel like, beyond the werewolves and the lycanthropes, because while I do think that the creatures in the woods would be a little bit more frightened because there's a weregiant out, I also think the fact that your party's out there in their woods and you're not connected to this might spark certain creatures to try and like leave you for dead so that the wolves and weregiant can find you. Like other predatory creatures of the area are so frightened. They see you, they start picking at you because they're like, well, you're not aware anything, so we can maybe take you, you know, and maybe try to leave you behind to die. I could see it. I could see, you know, the undead all throughout this place. I mean, nothing would be scarier than dealing with undead in a werewolf cave. There's just a lot. I feel like there's.
I think I found it. I think it's called a Cold Light Walker. Am I correct? Yes, I am. I see his mini.
Oh.
No, I want your stats though. I don't care about your picture.
Icewind Dale. Be fun.
Show me. Are you going to tell me I need to buy the book? I'll punch you. Oh, I will punch you in the face.
But I kind of going off something DM Lacara said earlier on about the nature of animals and like just in nature in general. It definitely seems like you could leave this very open-ended to maybe have like something else, maybe like a leftover lycanthrope hunt your party after this. Like this could bleed into your main campaign too, even as a side one shot. And one of the wolves at this gate, maybe now your party is afraid every time they hear a howl. And you just taunt your party with the idea that like at night, roll, did you hear a howl? I would absolutely mess with my party using that.
Cold Light Walker, in addition to it blinding you, it also basically has a cold ray. It basically has Eldritch Blast, but for ice. And it's one of its special things is if it kills you with ice damage, you freeze in a solid block for 9 days, and you cannot be unfrozen, and magic doesn't work on you. So, like, just like caravans are getting attacked, and like the biggest like buffest person in that caravan is always an ice block when people find them. Like that would be pretty cool. Especially if this guy's like pretending not to. Well, I guess pretending is hard when you're dead. But like you can't tell that it's not a regular person, so you finally confront it and like you rip the parka off its head and it just does the blinding light thing. Shwa! And you're like, ah, what the hell? And then he's just Eldritch blasting ice at people.
There's a lot of scary things you can do here, I think. And again, I like the adventure. I would run it with some edits.
Mm.
And I'd be interested to see what else they've come up with.
If my players currently hadn't run into or had run into more regular lycanthropes that weren't evil or that were evil, yada yada yada, I think I would run this as is. But right now I don't want a giant were rat. That's really the only sort of bad were people they've run into so far. But another campaign for sure. Another area. If I did this up north, hell yeah. Like by the city that Yarlaxle runs now. Ooh, sorry, I wasn't supposed to say that. But he runs it. What the? Luskin. There we go. In the Forgotten Realms is the one up north.
Mm.
That wasn't like my players don't know that Yarlaxle runs the city. It's he pretends that he doesn't run the city within the Forgotten Realms and the Sword Coast because he wants to join the Lord's Alliance even though he's a criminal. You mean for free? People get paid to protect me? Yes, please.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Also, I want to thank whoever put the page from Icewind Dale on iFunny with the the Cold Light Walker. I appreciate you pretending it's a meme. Thanks for letting me see the stat block.
But I am curious. Oh. Irvin, hey, what up, Arvin? Hey, you see you? What's up, Arvin?
What's up, man?
Hey.
But I was going to ask you guys.
Give us your question.
If you weren't running a Weregiant, what other? I know you said were rats, but what else would you potentially make a giant-sized werebeast for your party to take on?
I would want to use. I would want to try to use all of the. So there was a subset of Skylanders called Giants. The gimmick for the second game was Giants, and like all of those particular Giants, I would love to reuse in D&D. But there's also in the fourth game, the gimmick was Traptanium. We don't. That's neither here nor there. But the figures were bigger than the regular figures, and there's this like. He's like a basically he's a fire giant, but he has a cannon, and he wears like a. The only way I can describe it is like a stereotypical like 80s biker helmet with like the horn on the top. And I think if I put just a regular, like really angry fire giant in there, where like you're sitting on a dormant volcano, but it's high enough elevation that now it's covered with snow, and he just really wants in this cave to start the fires up again. He's just mad all the time. I would do that. He's the alpha just based on that he'll blow anyone else away.
Okay. What about you, DM Lacara?
I think I would go for a were praying mantis.
Oh my god.
Where praying mantis?
Huh. All I'm thinking of is that they're like the therianthrope equivalent to a succubus. Like they have to cut your head off.
Yep. Just think of how unsettling it would be to have something that tall and that skinny with that alien head on top.
God.
Word.
I just think of there was a PS2 game called War of the Monsters. I still have the poster up for in my room, and it's supposed to be like a joke, like an homage to all the old monster films. And one of the creatures is a praying mantis. And whenever they show like fake news reels and stuff of it and newspapers, everyone's always like, "Is this an alien or is it terrestrial?" And it's the praying mantis guy every time.
Yep.
Hmm. That to me, that scares the hell out of me.
I think we all have an innate horror of that. I was gonna go cockroach initially. I mean, I knew it had to be an insect,
Oh.
but then I was like, no, wait. There's something worse.
I think that's absolutely frightening.
Oh.
I am going to leave on that note.
So we didn't get to do the last one. I was thinking. I also realized what happened. I wasn't in the chat. I happened to be in the main window because I was trying to figure out how I could make another window be what you guys saw. So I had it as my main window. I hit space thinking I was in the chat, and the button that's lit up is stream. So it killed the stream. That's on me. I know what happened. I was like, oh, I get it now.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. But next week we can tackle the final part of adventures.
Yeah.
And chop that up into tiny bits and pieces. Which will be fun.
Yep. I like this one though. It was good.
This one was good. I like this one. And it's not just because there's wolves.
Oh no, you're a little biased there, okay?
Just a bit. Just a bit.
A wee bit.
All right. You guys have a great week.
Later.
DM Lacara, we'll catch
I'm
you
sure we'll bother
later.
you in a minute anyway.
Oh yeah.
That's
Good night.
bye.
And I was trying to figure out, Arvin, if you were like, I read it in Japanese. Well, I guess actually, technically, I read it in like Italian to gather, but in Japanese it's to go up or going up. But I think that a lot of people, even if it's not a coping mechanism for trauma, I think a lot of people employ that specifically in order to fit in better with other people. Because I know, like me as a human being, it is easier to talk to people the stupider you sound. Like the less knowledgeable you sound. You're less likely to make anyone else feel intimidated or upset.
I think also there is a level of it that you can find a lot of comfort in for some people. I think that sometimes it is easier. And I think that as long like there's no, I guess there are bad ways to cope with this. That's the worst thing to say. But I think that as a method of coping, it's not problematic. I mean, there's nothing, you're not doing anything wrong.
You're not out there skinning people like some weirdos
Yeah.
are in this adventure. talking about getting werewolf pelts. That's human skin, my guy.
Oh yeah, but no, I don't see where. Yeah, it's not weird because it's important to you. Let's just make that clear.
Hmm.
It's important to you. Don't think it's weird because nothing here is weird. Everybody is accepted here, and I think that's really just the nature of things. I don't think it's a weird question. I apologize if it seemed like we weren't getting to it. We wanted to make sure we addressed it without,
Yeah,
I think getting
I was
into.
doing research.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I understood it because it's a term I've never seen the shorthand term for it before. So I wanted to do a lot of reading on it. Yeah. But personally,
Not to say we're experts now. Obviously not.
no.
We at least know what
but
it is.
I do not see any problem with it. I don't
It's
see any problem with it.
potentially less destructive than mine. I've got dermatillomania, so I just rip the skin off my. Well, you can rip your skin off anywhere. I just happen to do it on my hands, in the idea that one day it will be smooth if I rip off enough of it. It will never be smooth.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I'm an isolationist. That's my mechanism. I poof off. I go into what I call my low power mode, and I try to regather myself. I think Okami has seen me in low power mode in person, trying to not be in low power mode in person. So.
Can relate.
But no, you're fine, Arvin. Listen, the round table is a rounded table for a good reason. We're not knighted yet, though. Not yet.
True. One day. One day when our names are I was
we're in the deep halls of the of D&D history.
Yeah, I was gonna say once one of our names once one of our names is in somebody's book. Technically, because I've kickstarted stuff, my name's already in books. Now that I think about it.
I mean, listen, the only thing I could hail to is that I have a portrait of me in 9 Years of Shadow. There is a portrait of one of the portraits on the wall. One of the things for the Kickstarter was that if you were a certain tier, if you sent a picture, you would be digitized into a portrait in the game. And I found my portrait in the game, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, it's me!" I look quite dapper as a detective.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I have to find the digital file one of these days and show you. But that's still no fame for me. So when we hit, I'm talking like,
when we get to hang out with, my mind immediately went to Deborah Ann Wool because I just saw her pop up again the other day. She was, I don't know what Becca Scott's channel is called. It's like Fun with Tabletop or something, but she was doing Heroescape How to Play, and Deborah Ann Wool was on there too. And I was like, oh, cool. Also, kind of, okay, so for those of you who, Heroescape was a tabletop like war game back in the day that used hex tiles, and the hex tiles are, I guess you could say they're the gold standard for playing a tabletop game, a modular tabletop game where like you build the map. And Hasbro had the rights for years and years and years, just sat on them, didn't want to release them, said it wasn't worth selling. So Hasbro Pulse, which is like Hasbro's own crowdfunding thing, was like, yo, we want to re-release Heroescape. If enough people say yes, we'll do it. At that point, like buying Heroescape tiles on eBay They were so out of any normal person's price range because they're now the gold standard. So Hasbro Pulse was like, yo, we're going to re-release HeroScape. If anybody actually wants this, let us know, make a pledge, and we'll release them. And it didn't make it. And I was bummed because I had just realized like how great those tiles were. And I was like, oh, I can finally get them myself.
Really good tiles.
Yeah, I was so stoked for HeroScape, and then the crowdfunding failed. And then lo and behold, 2 years later, Hasbro was like, oh, by the way, we're releasing a whole line of HeroScape stuff. And I was like, huh? You told us nobody wanted to buy this and you would never make it. You jerks.
You lied. And I believe you.
Yeah.
Listen, if we personally, I'll know we've made it when I can sit next to Lou.
Oh, that's a
and
good
bask
choice
in his
too.
presence. I just want to bask in Lou's presence and be like, I too, Lou, understand what it's like to be a chaos gremlin.
That is a perfect choice. I just didn't want to say anyone from Critical Role. I just wanted to make sure that that was not my goal.
No, I think I've made it too far then.
There's
When
only
I'm
one
on, like,
person
game
who's
night,
Critical
like-
Role adjacent that like I actually don't want to spend time with, but that's a totally different story.
We're not going to get into that too.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that person. All right, because both of us would be like, this is who we got. No.
Yeah, it would be so disappointing for everybody.
I'd get the invite and I'd be like, oh, for real? Okay, sure. And then immediately take to dismantling the entire episode. They would hate me very quickly.
Fortune telling in a grilled cheese. That's actually, that's the most Monty Python D&D campaign shit I've ever heard in my life.
Grilled cheese and
That's how your character performs divination.
in a grilled cheese. I'd do it.
Honestly, Fist, I think you need to build this into a subclass.
It's not going to be too tricky. I can see it in my head, and that's the problem.
Your character learns a bunch of fire spells, so they can always melt the cheese just right. I mean, your world has to understand cheese.
True.
Oh, I don't know why, I just deflated. I was like, oh yeah, you know what would be great? If I could do things on my channel that like Becca Scott does on hers, where she's just happy to talk about a game. And I'm like, hell yeah, I want to do that. I want to show people a game with like really fancy cameras that are all around, and there's enough light where it doesn't look like I'm a creep hiding in the background.
You know, the fastest way to get that done would be folks being willing to like, comment, subscribe. And if you've enjoyed yourself today here, let your friends know. Let everybody you know that you've came to the roundtable. We didn't do our usual pitch. We didn't press the button today.
That's true, I did.
But quite honestly, give us the money. Put the money in the bag.
And if you don't have money to throw around, hit the other buttons, because like DM Lacara always says, inadvertently you're also giving money.
Oh yeah. In fact, did we press the button? We did not press the button.
Oh wait.
We completely did not get to press the DM Lacara button.
Do the thing. If you have money, make the buttons give him money. If you don't have money,
we were having too much
just
fun
hit the
talking about
buttons
Firefly.
that subscribe, and
That's true.
that also gets him money. So you get to feel good either way.
I actually
But
got
we
to
do
use, so you guys in the stream could hear that it is actually on my stream deck. It says buttons ad, and that's the DM Lacara voice line. I put that in a video that we'll release in like 3 weeks. for the first time. I was like, you know what? She says it so much better than me. I'm just gonna put it here.
Yeah, honestly, it's the perfect ad because it's short, sweet, and to the point.
Yeah. Fist. Gonna steal your idea. Tweak it a little bit. Different kinds of cheeses for different kinds of readings.
Oh my goodness, yes. Brie for love, Gouda for fortune. Yes.
And like the
I
really,
will.
really expensive cheeses tell you something incredibly specific.
Ah, yes. Yes.
That's your character's
In
whole
fact,
whole shtick. I make
in
cheese.
fact, you know what you could do? You could make them a warlock, and it's because their patron is literally a rat looking for Jesus. Like, but it's their powerful rat warlock that literally has divination abilities. Like, it was something else and became just that powerful. And
This is
now it's just
some
like, I will give you all your information, but you need to feed me.
this is some Bloomborough stuff if I ever heard it. Also, I don't know why my brain
Normal
just went
critter.
back to this. Oh no, where'd that thought go? No, no, come back, thought. Please. Please. Oh,
I was like, nah, I'm good.
uh originally I was thinking actually this was right as I accidentally killed the stream in the middle because I'm an idiot. Sorry again for that for those of you on YouTube. For those of you on Twitch, nothing happened but me going, "Oh no. Oh no," repeatedly. But I was thinking the way that none of my players are in here, that's fine. They also sort of have an inkling of this, so if they do happen to watch this episode of DM Roundtable, I don't care as much. They have a pretty good idea of what happened, but the blood hunters in my world, they made a deal with the dragon that lives in the mirror way back in the day, where the dragon has all these weird magic items that they've collected over the years, blah 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 blah. And the deal is because they need magical essences of things in order to buff themselves, to make potions, kind of like witchers, but also they're spliced, so they have some of those creatures' innate abilities. The deal was the dragon will tell them where those creatures are because he can find them through whatever magical means he's got. They go capture those creatures. They bring them back so he can eat exotic meals.
Ooh.
So that would also work for this alpha.
He's a gourmand, kind of. Okay. I could see that. I could absolutely see that.
They work at the deli. Genius. That's how they get some cheeses. And they have to keep, like every city you go to, you have to work in a fancier and fancier deli.
Mm-hmm. I would love that personally.
I was gonna say you gotta like make sure you can work your way up to the boar's head cheeses. And then I was like, who is like the top-notch cheese monger? I don't know. I feel like this is offensive to my heritage. I don't know. I'm Italian and I don't know who the biggest cheesemonger is.
Wisconsin. Just call him Wisconsin. King of Wisconsin. The butcher vegan child of.
Oh my god. Also, I don't know. I don't think you guys on the stream are experiencing anything weird, or if you in DM Lacara could hear it, but every like 20 minutes or so, the lights on my keyboard go out, and I don't know what's going on, but it seems like everything else is normal. The keyboard's still working. It's just the lights are going out, and I don't know why. It's never done that before.
It's goofing, is what it's doing. Dare I ask who made your keyboard?
Oh, I think you know. One of my last purchases before I left the company with my 50% off code.
God, smartest decision. Except I did not want to give him more money.
I know.
But well, shoot, Okami. I think people will be excited. This time, unlike with our very first set of episodes, this is actually on us because we dilly dallied a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit. But you know what?
Now
If
we
you're
know
not
we have a
here
better
for,
like guess of we don't need to do we won't do more than one because we're gonna make this better as we go.
yeah. And honestly, maybe we should plan for one.
Yeah.
And then if we get to two, cool. And go from there. Maybe that'll be our new strat.
Yeah, for adventures, I think for sure we're just going to do one from now on. So that being said, I'm going to put the question to you first before I open it up. Should we just do the price of success next week? Or should we do the poll?
Maybe give them a poll.
Okay.
Put adventures on there, and if they like adventures more, we can give them this adventure. We already have one.
All right. And that being said, I will post the poll. So the way the poll works is once this stream ends, I will set up a poll in the roundtable chat. And okay, I know you meant potions, but my brain immediately transcribed that to Oxob, which is one of the stick figures from Yun's dojo, and I was like,
Goodness.
huh?
I would absolutely root for you, Hyun's dojo. What?
Yo, Hyun's dojo should make stat blocks of some of their characters. That would be sick.
That'd be too much. Do it. Potions could be fun. Potion, magical items, things of that nature.
That is one of the things for sure. So I'm going to keep things the way they are, but 24-hour. I'm going to post a poll at the end of this video where 24 hours the DMs have 24 hours to write in which option they like. However, there is an extra slot which is for you guys, the audience. So you can put in, it seems like Arvin, you're voting for items. Oh no. Okay, good. The stream didn't stop. I hit spacebar and nothing happened. And I was like, oh, good. I did it again. But no, we're good.
Oh,
God. I will post them here. For those of you on Twitch, since you cannot, you won't be able to comment on the VOD, you can instead send us a message on Discord, or you can tweet, or you can come on YouTube and comment. Those of you on YouTube, you can obviously just comment on the VOD, or you can comment right here in the chat of which of these topics you want our next episode to be about. And then we will do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, those of you on YouTube, I'm going to post it here. For those of you on Twitch, I am putting it here in the chat. So if you do watch the VOD, you can see it. But be aware that you won't be able to comment on it. You'll have to come find us elsewhere. And then at the end of the 24-hour period, we see whichever one won. And then I make the stream info for next week. And remember, if you're on YouTube, you can always, once that stream info comes up, you can hit the notify me button. And your YouTube will have a little icon that's like, hey, the stream's starting. And you can be like, bloop, I'm going to go to the stream. Because that's how you all use your computers, I know. Whenever you click things, you say out loud, bloop.
Fist, he could absolutely look like John Madden. Young Madden.
Yes, young Madden specifically.
I am A-okay with young Madden. Not young game girl.
Okay, so you said technomancy. The homework assignment I wanted to give people. So homework is a weird term. It's just like a supplement that's too small for me to like review as a book, but it is generally speaking too large Like we'd have to read it before we went over it. And
Mhm.
the current homework assignment is Archibald's Archive, which is an entire mini tome of stuff for artificers, essentially.
Pretty interesting to look into.
But yeah, let us know. If
There's
not,
a lot of cool
we're gonna
options.
put items based on the audience vote. Thanks, Arvin. I don't know why I'm dancing. It's really weird. I just like stood up in my chair and was like, "Yeah, this is the outro," and I just started dancing.
One day we're going to have our own custom theme music. Don't worry.
Ah, I would love to have a stupid jingle.
You know what the great thing about having a friend like me is, Okapi? Your friend having a ton of musician friends. I will happily ask any of them if anybody is willing to do a quick jingle. Even
Listen,
a
we will
quick
give
guitar
them
riff as a jingle.
credit.
I take it.
We'll give them recordings of each one of us saying "Huzzah!" and you can put that in the background because it's the round table.
We will talk and figure that one out for sure. I will ask around. Trust and believe.
Okay, so it's not for DM Roundtable specifically, but something I was talking in the Discord about is there was a while back where I was like, yo, I got some collectible cards for DC Comics from my grandpa. They were in his comic book shop when it closed. So I got a bunch of them, but they have trivia on them. And I had said way back when, like, oh, you know what would be cool is if we had a stream where like Fists and a bunch of other people came on and they tried to answer as many trivia questions as possible, potentially for prizes. And while we were talking in the, I think it's my niece and nephew. They have the Buzz trivia game that comes with the trivia buzzers, and I was thinking that we could try to do that, but I don't know if it works like Jackbox does, where like you're all connected. However, I think what makes more sense is if when we do this, we assign each of you a different button on the soundboard for the Discord, and you use that to buzz in.
That'd be hilarious.
And I'm just thinking we could even, if there's enough slots, each member of, actually, can you do? I don't know if you can. We could make our own server and just have the slots be that.
We could.
And each of the soundboard sounds is just a different one of us saying "Huzzah!" and that's how we agree with things from now on. Ooh, ideas!
We're looking to make the roundtable better for everybody else. The roundtable. I like how it started off as, oh yeah, I'm helping you out with the roundtable when I can, and now it's just like, oh, it's Monday. Are you doing your? That's what I get every. I get the text message every Monday night, like, have fun talking about D&D. And I'm like, thanks. I appreciate.
It's a bummer that we lost DM Bacon from regular episodes. I don't know why Nystrick is avoiding me. And Dungeon Mommy is super busy, so they're not around. But I'm hoping we get to add some more people soon.
I think as we get better. I think also as we get to expand more of the roundtable to like other ideas. And I think once I know we've talked about once we get out of 5e and stuff, I think we'll really get to play around with some of those ideas. Definitely want to hear some of the other ideas, especially once we start delving deeper into like just maybe talking tabletop and DM strats. Be a whole other series if you wanted. You never know.
We could even to me this sounds incredibly boring, but this is the kind of transformative content that YouTube very much enjoys. We could even like one of the series that I'm doing on the side is delving into your DMs, where I just talk about stuff that you learn as a DM, stuff that I've learned, ways you can make your DMing time easier, that kind of stuff. Transformative content-wise, like, we could watch one of those and then other similar videos to it and talk about it.
Always down.
The only one we can't do it on is Twitch. Those would have to be YouTube only, because Twitch is now cracking down on people who stream other people's stuff. Because apparently that was an entire genre.
Yeah, I believe it.
I was like, oh, that's weird, but okay. But yeah, just different things to think about. Anyway, we're gonna put in the vote. I'm gonna pop the poll open in DM Roundtable in a little bit. Seems like the public vote is items, so that'll go in there.
I think it's looking like items is ahead. We'll see. We'll see by tomorrow, though.
True.
You win on mine.
We hope you guys and gals enjoyed. No, sorry, this is D&D related. We hope you players of all classes enjoyed. Haha.
Ooh.
We will see you at the next roundtable on Monday. And you'll probably find out sooner than then, if you hang out on YouTube, what the topic will be.
Oh, yeah.
Have a good week. Enjoy your games. Where can they find you in the meantime, DM Shin?
You will find me online. This week I will be streaming again. Unfortunately, last week I got hit with a power outage. Oh. So in the middle of my stream, if anybody was watching, I poofed off. So I apologize, but I will be out. I'm gonna be posting some gameplay videos finally this week. I've been slacking last week. I want to over edit them, and then part of me is just like, they're okay being just battles because it's a fighting game. Don't overthink it. So gonna be some content going up on my channel, but you can find me most likely anywhere the internet summons me. But the most accurate place you'll find me on the internet is here on the Roundtable. Every Monday, just like DM Lacara. But you can also hit me up on Discord if you're a part of the Ogamagakure channel, which is Okami's channel. You can always reach out to me at any form of Shin in that channel, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, there's a tabletop schmabletop channel in our Discord now, so you can come in and talk about that. Mostly we just share deals. Speaking of deals, if any of you want dice trays or condition cards, Arcane Goods is going out of business, so everything is at least 50% off in their shop, but items are flying off the shelves. So if you want a new dice tray, good option. If you want a Adventurer's Notebook, the GM Notebook is already sold out, but their Adventurer's Notebook, which is pretty handy, is still there. And everything's at least 50% off. So go snag some stuff while you can.
Get all the stuff.
I'm gonna post
and
a
never
link to
let
their
it
shop.
go.
Look at me.
But what about you, Okami? Where are they gonna find you this week?
You can find me here on YouTube. If you found DM Roundtable on YouTube, hey, just hang out on the channel, please. And also Twitch. I probably won't be streaming anything extra on Twitch this week, but there will be at least one upload every day this week. At least.
Yay.
So come and hang out, or just come to the Discord, or just bother me on Twitter, or just... No, that's pretty much it. I mean, you could try to follow me on Instagram, but if you're a bot, I'm just going to say no like I do to the other bots that want to see what I'm doing, because it's only bots.
True. It's true. And don't forget, when you get a chance, if you haven't, to pop on over to Dungeon Mommy's podcast when you get the chances, to always give her a listen. And if you do, go over there, tell her, put in the comments that the Roundtable sent you.
Ooh, yes.
put in there that the Roundtable sent you, and they'll know. They'll know. But everyone, thank you for coming to hang out with us and listen to us yammer on about stuff that we love. And we'll see you next week.
Okay, this time I'm gonna kill Twitch, and it's gonna be manual, and then I'm gonna kill YouTube. It won't be a mistake. I promise.
Kill it with both fire and love.
Honka honka burn.